guys, AstroCass back with some more astrology for you. This one is going to be a part of my celebrity series, and it's going to be a bit of a deep dive into Blake Lively's natal chart. I thought, why not talk about her, because with this Mercury retrograde, she's getting a lot of attention right now, and I thought it'd be nice to have a look at her chart and just see what the energy for her is. Is she a mean girl? What's happening? What's happening with her right now? So what I've done is just put up her chart here so that you can see, and we're going to just run and have a look into different parts of her chart and just see what's happening. For everybody that's new, welcome to my channel, and hi, I'm Cassie. I do all things astrology. I'm a Western tropical astrologer who uses mostly more traditional astrology methods and predictive methods. But if you've come to my channel, you probably enjoy things around health and astrology and spirituality. So welcome. For all my returning followers and viewers, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you guys are back. And as always, if you guys could like and subscribe and comment below and interact, I'd really appreciate that. It helps with the algorithm. It helps me build my channel and my business. And it's also a really great energy exchange. It doesn't cost money. It just takes a little bit of your time. If you enjoy this content, then just give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. If you want to book a reading with me, all of my details are below. I do one-on-one readings for astrology and for tarot at different price points. So definitely email me or reach out or check my details below for that. But with all that being said, let's jump into talking about Blake Lively's birth chart. So beautiful Leo rising. She is stunning, very glowy goddess vibes, very lioness vibes. When we have Leo energy, this energy gets attention. It's her rising sign, so it's her physical body, her appearance. It's how people see her when they first meet her. It's the energy that she kind of presents out there. So with Leo, they are beautiful performers. They tend to get a lot of attention. They can be really good in social settings and parties. They are just the life force. It's ruled by the sun, so they very much shine. They shine, they light, they're bright, they give off that golden goddessy glowy vibe. So it's a very radiant energy. Now, when we look at her chart ruler, which is the sun, which I normally always talk about the rising, the sun, and the moon anyway, but it just so happens that her chart ruler is the sun because she's a Leo rising, and her sun is in Virgo. It's conjunct Mars and Venus, and it's actually in quite a loose conjunction with Mercury as well. But she actually has what is known as a stellium. Now, a stellium is like 3 or more planets all in the same zodiac sign. So she has a 5-planet pile up there in her Virgo house there. So this is really pivotal. Like, she has a lot of Virgo energy. She's very analytical, very critical. She pays a lot of attention to details, very organized, very much routine based. She always wants to be of service to others. A huge focus on health and fitness for her and being of service to others. It is a beautiful energy that really focuses on the attention. It's all about purity and bringing forward what is needed and getting rid of. If you think about Virgo, it rules over the stomach and the intestines. So, you know, unfortunately, we poop out what we don't need and like the toxic waste, and the body digestive system turns the rest of the food and nutrition, it purifies it and turns it into nutrition for us. So that's kind of like that Virgo energy. It kind of keeps us pure, keeps us useful, and gets rid of the stuff that we don't need. It just gets rid of it. So sorry for the graphic image, but you know, obviously astrology links to body parts, and I think to understand Virgo energy and like the purity side of it and how it kind of gets rid of the stuff that's not needed, the kind of, you know, BS and like the waste, the toxic stuff, like it's important to kind of use that symbology of that Virgo energy, because it is linked to the maiden, it's linked to purity, it's linked to Persephone, all of that sort of energy when we're looking at Blake Lively. She has a huge Persephone vibes. It's an earth sign, so she's very grounded, very practical, very down to earth, very girls next door type energy as well with that Virgo stellium. So I mean, don't really have a specific order that I'm going to read her chart in. I'm just going to read whatever stands out to me and whatever I think, you know, is important to share with you guys. I'm just going to talk to it and speak about it. So going back to her sun, because she's a Leo rising, we already talked about the performer and the attention and the sun and the radiance that emanates from her. But with her sun being in the second house is your resources, your money, your possessions, the things that you value. So a huge part of her self-identity is on her money, her possessions, her wealth, and how she is of service to people. Her beliefs are really focused around those Virgoian traits. So she might really value being healthy, being fit, eating right, exercising, having a good routine, being organized, being practical, being of service. It's also very logical because it is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is in rulership in that Virgo stellium there. So she's also very logical and very intellectual. So she might enjoy reading books and those sorts of things as well. Very curious there with like reading and knowledge. What this means for her is that, as I said, a lot of her life focus will be on the things that she owns and the things that she values around that Virgo type energy. So fashion, Virgos are really great with attention to detail when it comes to fashion designs and just clothing. When it comes to books and being organized and having a really good daily routine and health and fitness, so gym and exercising. They make really great healers and nurses, people with strong Virgo energy as well. So the medical field, all those sorts of things can be really great for people with strong Virgo energy. But because this woman has a huge stellium in her second house, her beliefs are so important to her, the things that she believes in. And she's got the planet of like Mars, which is your action, your passion. It's your desire, it's your motivation, it's what you're fighting for and fighting with. It's where you find the most conflict and arguments in your life, but also the most motivation and passion. It's in the second house of money, her resources, and her like what she values. So she gets motivated by the things that she owns, by the things that she has, by money. And she will work very, very hard to get money because Virgo wants to be of service, but Virgo also rules the sixth house of like work, and they work really hard. Like Virgos have such a great attention to detail, and they will work really hard. They'll have a really strong routine, and they'll be very practical and very organized. So this woman is a hard worker. She's very practical. She's very organized. She wants to work. She's always focused on working. She values working. That is like a huge part of her personality. And the sun is sitting there as well. So the sun conjunct Mars gives her such creative energy and gives her an abundance of energy where she can shine through her creative projects. And energy is going to give, Mars is going to give her the energy and the passion to go after her dreams and go after her creative projects. So that is absolutely beautiful to see. But then she also has Venus conjunct the sun as well. And the sun obviously is her life force. It's her identity. It's how she shines, what people notice about her. So Venus adds those Venusian flavors to it. So it makes her very beautiful and makes her attract money really easy, very wealthy, very luxurious looking, very much political and diplomatic as well. So a lot of those typical Venusian traits that come with money, relationships, all those themes and art and beauty, that very feminine energy is all tied into that sun and how she shines. So through her money, through her relationships, through her beauty, through her fashion, she shines and she's noticed, and she makes and attracts even more money in relationships. And it's also important to remember that Virgo is an earth sign, but it is also a very feminine sign. It is feminine. So again, Venus being in there, really, Venus in the second house is really comfortable because Venus usually rules Taurus, and Taurus typically rules that second house. So Venus is very comfortable here. Even though Venus is in fall in Virgo, she has Venus in Virgo, which is classified as being full, and typically Venus does not do very well in Virgo's sign, and she doesn't express herself to the highest value and the highest way that she can. However, because we do have that second house theme, that adds some layer of support there, and because there's the sun and Mercury and Mars all there also supporting that Venus, there is support there for her, but there might also be some conflict and some challenges because Mars conjunct the sun and conjunct Venus can show conflicts with shining, with performing, with her creative projects, conflicts with other females and relationships in her industry. So obviously she's an actor, so there can be issues with love and romance and females and how she shines in movies, in the work field, in the acting sphere. And I think we are kind of seeing that all play out now. So Mercury recently went retrograde at 4 degrees, and that's been on her natal Mercury. Like it didn't quite meet her natal Mercury by an exact degree, but it was only 2 degrees away from her natal Mercury. when it went to retrograde at 4 degrees. And so it's doing a double back and going over her Venus, her Sun, and her Mars twice. Once when it went forward, then it's stationed retrograde, and then it goes back. So that's twice, and then it's going to go over these planets a third time. So we're seeing obviously the cancellation of her right now in real time, as that Mercury has been retrograding back into her Leo first house. It's been going through Virgo, her second house, back into her Leo first house. And it's going to get to about 21, 22 degrees before it goes stationed and then goes direct again. But eventually it will go back over those Virgo placements for a third time. So we're seeing things being spoken about now and all the negative things about Blake Lively. But I reckon, unfortunately, this is probably the hardest part of it all. I think when it gets to Leo and then it stations direct and goes forward again and goes over them for the third time, there might be a lot of information that comes out clarifying a lot of this miscommunication and this situation that's happening right now. And for some of it, some of the things might be quite accurate, and this might be a big lesson for her to learn about publicity and about the acting industry and working with co-workers. So at the moment, I do know she's having a few issues with her male co-star, and there's a lot being said, and she's being portrayed as like a mean girl and kind of been cancelled. And I feel like that's usually because of this Mercury retrograde hitting her stellium there, and kind of activating so much in her chart. But we will see over, obviously, the next few weeks, as Mercury kind of goes forward again, what that kind of brings for her, whether it brings some kind of resolution or some kind of cleanup with all this misinformation, where it brings some clarity around that. I'm hoping that that's what happens for her. Do I think that based on her chart, and obviously, like, I'm still going to go into more detail about her chart, but because she has that Virgo stellium, so much of her planets are all involved in that second house. So that is majority of her personality, is because 5 planets are there. So that is crazy for house rulership. Having a look at that, there's so much tied up. Pretty much almost all the planets mostly are all tied into this Virgo stellium story for her. But based on quickly, like, obviously what I can see, do I think she's a mean girl? I don't think so. I think that this Mercury retrograde has probably made her very misunderstood, and there's a lot of miscommunication there. I feel like she is naturally a person that's very analytical and very critical. And not only is she critical of other people, but she's more hard on herself and more self-critical. Sometimes people with very heavy Virgo energy, they're being of service and they want to help and they want to do things for people, but sometimes the way they explain things or the way they say things comes across as very critical and very analytical. And that can be really hard for people that don't really understand Virgo energy. They don't understand the no BS, upfront, kind of tell it how it is type energy. So that can be quite confronting. It comes off as very critical and hard, but obviously they're trying to be of service, they're trying to help, and they're trying to kind of, Virgos are really great with the small details and getting to the pure essence of things. So that's where it can get a bit hard for people who aren't really familiar with that Virgo energy. So I do think she's very critical. I do think she's very analytical. And I think sometimes of what she says can probably come across in the wrong way. But I don't think she's a mean girl. I don't think she's specifically targeting people and trying to be mean. I don't think she's the type of person that would leave anyone out. I feel like she's a very hard worker and she wants to be of service. And I think that, she's probably quite helpful to her close friends and family and people around her. And I think she really values a lot of the females and like co-stars around her. I think she genuinely does care about them. So I don't know the full extent to what's happened currently with this new movie and all this stuff that's happening at the moment. I haven't really looked too much into it, but I feel like she is a bit of a star. She's got that Hollywood glam. She's got intelligence. She's got a strong Mercury there. I just feel when it comes to love and romance and maybe romantic films and like co-stars, because of that Mars being conjunct her stellium of Venus and the Sun, that sometimes there can be some conflict there. And this obviously retrograde has cause some miscommunications and some issues from the past to be brought back up. And so that's kind of flared all this up. But uh, her her energy in itself is very pure and just wanting to help people and be of service. So that's important to kind of keep in mind. And Neptune sends a beautiful trine to her Virgo stellium. So that brings a lot of mystery and a lot of compassion and forgiveness and a lot of that spiritual side to her Virgo stellium. So that's really beautiful to see. In regards to her midheaven, it's in Taurus, a very Venusian, very stable, very practical. People see her as very grounded and down to earth, the girl next door type energy. When it comes to, I guess, all of this misinformation and the cancellation that's happening for her, she does have her Chiron in Gemini, and it's at 27 degrees. So that tells me that there is a wound around communication and words, because Gemini is communication, it's news, it's speaking, it's ruled by Mercury. It's in the 11th house of friendships and the groups you're a part of. So I definitely think there can be issues with social media, the news, communicating, especially when it comes to things that she might tell her friends or things that she might say with her friends and around her friends. There can be some issues and some wounds and things that need to be healed around that. And I feel like that could be part of the issue that's happening. It does seem like there are some challenges there, but that Chiron does sextile by degree her Mars and her Sun and her Venus. More so that Mars and the Sun at a closer degree, but it shows that Virgo stellium, there is some supports there for her wounds around her voice and speaking. So that Virgo stellium of hers helps with her wounds around speaking. So I think that's really important to keep in mind when we're trying to get to know her as a person, that she has wounds about speaking up and speaking her truth. And she might feel really like she can't use her voice, but that Virgo stellium has been teaching her a lot of lessons about, and having that strong Mercury there, about how to use her voice in the right way. And it can be really hard sometimes for Virgos to rein in the critical side of things and try and soften, I guess, the way they present things and say things. And you can see that there's obviously pretty evident there is a wound in her chart about speaking and communicating. So I found that very interesting. I guess the other things to kind of speak about is that she has Pluto in Scorpio in the 4th house. I feel like she had potentially some challenges with her family, especially potentially her mother. Scorpio energy shows secrets and needing to find the truth. It shows a family that's very very emotional, very deep emotions, but there can be trauma, there can be secrets, there can be an energy of the phoenix rising from the ashes. So there's a huge transformation, there's huge power and control issues within the family there. So that does look like a bit of a traumatic childhood where there were some power and control issues and struggles there, especially from her mother. And, it can be any family member, but in particular, like the 4th house for me, I do find represents the mother. So that's something to be mindful of there. She might not have had the easiest upbringing in childhood. She also has Saturn and Uranus in her 5th house, and that is in Sagittarius, sorry. So very much around her creative energy and children. Saturn is the restrictions, the limitations, the hard work, needing to be responsible. It also shows the father, the sun, and Saturn show the father in somebody's chart. So there was a lot there that she needs to learn about motherhood. There's a lot there that she needs to learn about having children and about her creative gifts and her creative side. And because she's a Leo rising and she has that huge stellium that involves her sun, creativity is a big theme, and being able to be creatively free. Because Sagittarius energy is about travel, it's about freedom, it's about higher education. So there's a lot that she needs to learn about freedom, and there's a lot of freedom that she wants when it comes to her creativity. Uranus brings shocks and changes and sudden surprises, and that lightning bolt aha moment through downloads. So she can get some really creative inspiration through just sudden quick downloads and through, technology and being a little bit quirky and inventive there with that Uranus. She then has Neptune in the sixth house, as I mentioned before, in Capricorn. A lot of people have this as more of a generational planet, but in regards to health, medications, and anything that's kind of like toxic, any kind of chemicals can be harmful for her overall health. But it does send some nice trines to her sun and moon, her sun and Mars and Venus. So I'm not too concerned about that Neptune there, but just in general, when it comes to health, there can be issues with that Neptune side of things, which is like chemicals, toxins, poisons, substances, addictions, that sort of thing. And then I guess it's interesting that she has her north node in Aries and her south node in Libra. That means the eclipses have been activating this year, and for the past, few months, have been activating her ninth and third house. Third house being communication and social media. She needs to let go of those things. South node wants to dissolve and wants to leave things in the past. It's your past life karma. It's the thing, like the lessons that you've already learned, and wants you to get rid of that. The north node wants you to go more into that energy. The north node is where you're going to be kind of pulled to focus your attention. So she's getting focused and pulled into her ninth house, which is higher education. It can be religion and spirituality. It's your beliefs. It's travel, those sorts of things. It's in Aries energy, the entrepreneur, the kind of brave, heroic, independent sign. So that's very interesting. And it's interesting because, as I said, the eclipses have been happening there. We have some more eclipses coming up. I think it's in like September, October. I think it's in October. And then she'll also have her nodal return. So there'll be some really big things that pop up for her when that nodal return happens. End of this year, early next year. She is going to be a big one to watch. She's going to have a lot happen when it comes to travel, when it comes to her belief systems, her businesses, entrepreneurial businesses. There's going to be a lot going on for her. Keep an eye on her, because when that nodal return happens for her in a few months, it's going to be quite pivotal for her. So it's going to be a huge shift. So nodal returns are hugely important for your life, because it's a time when you're meeting your life purpose, your destiny. So she's at that point now where she's trying to meet that. And if you look at her chart, that Chiron in Gemini that we're just speaking about squares that north node, and then Neptune in the sixth house. The sixth house is work and it's your health, and that is squaring her north node as well. Now, obviously, Neptune can also be lies. It can be delusions and illusions and fantasy. It can also be Hollywood and Hollywood glamour. That's all squaring her north node of destiny. So will she leave filmmaking? Will she quit acting? Is there going to be a new career pathway for her? Is there going to be something that happens, maybe some new studying, something like some kind of legal challenge? Because ninth house can lead to events around court and law and the legal system. So that'll be really interesting to see if she goes through some big shift with a career, or whether she goes through some big shifts in regards to some legal events that change her as an actress and in the Hollywood kind of celebrity scene. That'll be important to kind of watch over the next few months. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say about her chart. I know there's so much that's kind of going on. There's more I could talk to, but she gives off Persephone energy. She gives off very hardworking, I want to be of service vibes. Fashionista, Leo, I want to shine bright energy. So I don't think she's a mean girl, but she does have a lot of energy in her chart that shows that the way she talks and presents might be very harmful to others because of that analytical, critical Virgo energy. And then, she's got that the wounds there in friendship groups with communicating there, obviously is very clear there. So that's all I kind of wanted to say. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. And as I said, don't forget to give me a like, thumbs up, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye.